Ooh, we are now live. Hello there. It has been months since I went live. But you know what? I was doing a virtual speaking engagement just last week. It was last Wednesday, I believe. Today is Sunday. And during the speaking engagement, something that stood out. I was talking with the interviewer, and you guys are going to learn about it. I'm going to share the details so that you guys can get the recordings as well later this week. So, of course, you want to be looking up Tiffy G Writes so you don't lose out, okay? But listen, so this speaking engagement actually took place in Australia. It's virtually, and something that stuck out. First of all, the talk that I did was called How to Not Lose Your Voice in the Age of AI. Because we see so much stuff about ChatGPT, new AI models, and what I see in the market that is really preventing people who are at that first six figures but need to exceed that is the fact that they are losing their voice using ChatGPT, using Notion AI, using whatever AI you use. And so that was the topic, okay? So I'm talking to this entrepreneur. We are doing like an interview style type of chat. And I'm asking her questions about what her business is like, what it's been like since she's using AI. She's a business coach and a nurse practitioner, okay? But she is focused on finance. And I give her some advice to make her copy stand out more because she's been having some trouble. And that's why she's mostly doing those speaking engagements to draw people back to her list, okay? And so immediately she says that she did not know that copywriters will go ahead and write 5 different subject lines, 5 different preview lines, and A/B test that, okay? I'm like, you didn't know that? Oh my goodness. And so we're coming to a time, and I've been a freelance copywriter. I've been a marketing specialist for 9 years now. And so I was telling her the story about when I would first start out as a marketing specialist, they would have us, especially if you're working in a marketing agency and you have higher up copywriters over you, senior copywriters, perhaps a growth manager, whoever. They're going to tell you to provide 5 different subject lines, 5 different preview lines, 1 so they can choose what they believe is the best, or 2 so they can A/B test it, okay? And so I'm starting to realize with the rise of AI, one of the things that we don't realize is happening, especially in the business world, is that we are trying to get results using just a chatbot, using just a robot, when the results that you want to see are locked in your brain because you have the unique story that others need to hear. There's still a benefit in going live. There's still a benefit in telling your story. And hopefully today, by the end of this live, you are going to have some more tools to tell your story effectively and with clarity. So that's just like the opening segment there. Again, more about that will come later this week. But let's get into our topics today. I want to talk about how you can theme your emails to make them binge worthy. Ooh, juicy. Creative briefing, story first versus value first versus offer first marketing or creative storytelling. Then we need to talk about emotional triggers. And finally, we're going to talk a bit about what an asset bank is. So subject lines, preview lines, swipeable intros, how you can make email copywriting easier for your team, how to make it easier for yourself. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it, sis, okay? So if you want to theme your emails and make them more binge worthy, what you want to do is come out and don't even immediately go into your email service provider. I want you to pull up a Google document and you are going to write out some of the storylines that happened recently in your life and in your business. Now, the key is we don't want them to be too random. So we want them to still be about your business, about your industry. But this can be like behind the scenes, what you've talked about with your team, what you talk about with your sales team, what you've been talking about with your contractors, or any issues you've been facing in your business, whatever it is, whether you're in finance, e-commerce, healthcare, either way, that's going to be one of the formats you want to follow. This is how you make them binge worthy. We're in an economy now with the rise of AI. People want to know your experience. They want to know your day-to-day conversations. And that's something that AI cannot tell you or tell your audience. Like, AI is not in your brain. And so you have to distill that information. And it's going to be easier for you to distill if you are just in a Google Drive, or you're doing it on the Notes app in your phone, or you do a voice note to yourself or to your team. That's going to make it super simple to remember these storylines and come up with them so that the copy that you write feels more humane, feels more fun and personality infused. Because we all know when you open your emails, your inbox, I'm subscribed to like a lot of different businesses, okay? But you know, when you see like, or at least from my experience, I'll see like 3 subject lines and they all sound the same. And I'm like, are all these people using the same chatbot? Are all these people using the same prompts? And that's the worst thing that can happen for your business, okay? Because when you have that dull copy syndrome, what happens is that, imagine this, let's empathize with your audience. You have a launch that you want to get out. You want to send 25 emails, between now and July 16th. We're just throwing dates out there. And so you send them these emails that you generated on ChatGPT. You didn't copy edit them like we were talking about earlier with the virtual speaking engagement. You didn't copy edit them. And by copy edit, I mean A/B test, actually read through, change the hooks, bring in creative calls to actions. You didn't do that. And so you're giving your audience content that comes across as dull and comes across as if you don't care. Okay, so they read the copy and they're not going to be mad. They're not going to reply back and say, oh my gosh, I hate this language. They're just not going to open as much. They're not going to click as much. They're just going to begin to fall off. Some won't even unsubscribe. They'll just start to randomly fall off. Now, the caveat to that is that it can also be due to your specific lead generation, but this is what an email marketing audit is for. You can check out the link in my bio to actually schedule your email marketing audit, because that can be either your copy is too dull or your lead magnet is not effective for the offer that you're trying to market in 2025. So you have both instances where you have to get down to the problem and see what is the root cause of these lower open rates, these lower engagement rates, these lower click rates, okay? Next, this is my favorite, okay? Creative briefing. So we're talking story first versus value first versus offer first creative briefing. If you've been around, you know about the 20 question framework, but I'll reiterate it again for the people who are new here. When I work with agency clients, okay, those who pay $55K per year to work with me in the advisory setting, done for you magnetic emails, check it out, www.tiffygrice.co. When I work with these firms and these companies, typically it's going to be like a finance firm and an education firm. That's who my most recent clients have been, and some healthcare firms as well. But when we're working together, I like to go through and see where we can pull storylines versus value or education-based email copy and email strategy versus offer first. So I want to differentiate all these. Story first is like I was telling you, like here's an example today. I was sitting in a cafe with my husband out here in Mauritius, Africa, and we have these blueberry pastries. And the blueberry pastries are so good, okay? They're just delicious. The blueberries have like this syrup on them. The pastries are so soft. They're delicious. But I get this text message from my brother. He sends me a photo of my grandparents way back in the 70s. And it was like a bit of nostalgia. So I'm in here eating this blueberry pastry. My brother sends me this photo, and it automatically reminds me of when I was younger and I would go to my grandparents' house sometimes after school. My grandpa would pick me up and he would take me, I think it was called Anthony Chocolates or something like that. These super pricey chocolates, okay? He would take me to get these chocolate covered peanuts, and then we go back to their house. This triggers nostalgia, okay? So that's story first marketing, where I'm telling you a story about my everyday life. I can make it relevant to email copywriting and nostalgia marketing because that's what we're talking about. You can do the same thing as a finance firm, as a business advisor, as a healthcare consultant, okay? So that's story first. Now let's talk a little bit about value first stories. Value first is like what I do for a tax relief client. A lot of that content will be complex and educational, and that's why she wants a copywriter, a human to write it and not a robot, because her offers are so complex. Her offers are anywhere from like $2,000 to $10,000 depending on what the client needs. And for something that's that complex, especially in finance, it takes a human that's on the inside of the process that can interview the CEO and say, okay, let's distill this into this way so that the audience will understand. And so with value first, this is typically like we're saying, hey, these are 5 issues you might encounter with your tax strategy this year. These are 10 problems you'll have if you see this certain notice come up from the IRS or something like that. That is education focused content. We can still use a storyline. The main thing you want to do there to include storylines is to, of course, use verbs and adjectives and set the pace, like where you're at, where your client was at, or whatever. But that's how you use a value first email. So again, when we're thinking about value first, this can also be like a blog style email. It might be like 250 to 300 words. It's going to read like a piece of educational content that is usually going to get lower clicks, okay? But that's okay because we want to build trust and brand awareness. That's all right. Now let's go into offer first. When we're talking about an offer first email, and you can still use storytelling, I'll show you how or tell you how in a little bit. But when we have offer first emails, we are leading with the solution and telling the audience what the specific solution is. So this is where product marketing comes into play, okay? This is where I'll give you another example from like a finance firm. If we are doing solution focus, it's not just about saying like the name of the offer in the subject line. That's not really it. The subject line could be anything that's going to increase engagement and open rates. But the body copy of the email for offer first is going to be focused on that specific solution. What this looks like tangibly, if somebody wants to work with you in tax strategy or something like that, that's actually going to look like you writing something like, hey, you have X, Y, and Z going on right now. It's almost going to read like a sales page. You have X, Y, Z going on right now, but after you work with us and we help you, this is what your life looks like while working with us. It may take 3 to 6 months to work with us, or our package may be 18 months, whatever it is. You're articulating that in the copy to give them all of those nitty gritty details. Because in 2025, let me tell you something, both as a buyer and a marketing specialist, no one wants to book a call with you if you're not telling people ahead of time what they're going to get. Right? That's why we have something called sales pages. And sales pages have been around for decades, all the way to like the 1920s, where it was like you would knock on somebody's door and you would give this sales page that's typed up on a typewriter, okay? And you would introduce the offer, talk about the pain problems. That's like the history of sales pages. And so you want to use that same sales copy or sales page type of format in email. Now, the caveat, a lot of people will try to just send like a 400 word, excerpt from a sales page and drop it into the email. Typically, people aren't going to read that much copy via email. Email should be used to divert attention back to a sales page, to a book a call link, or to a blog or a podcast. That should be the function of email. Unless you're in e-commerce, for you, it's going to be to get sales. So to get them on the website, to hit the checkout icon for your website, to check out their cart. Okay. And so I want you to differentiate between those 3 story types. Write those down in a Google document for your internal communications and start to write these different storylines out. This is what copywriters are for and marketing specialists. Now, let's go on to our next point. I want to touch on emotional triggers. Use emotional triggers sparingly, but they're super powerful when you use them. Fear is one of the most powerful emotions. Greed is a very powerful emotion. The need for safety. So now we're getting more into psychology, a little bit of neuroscience, which I absolutely love, by the way, as someone that was actually a psychology major and worked in neuroscience before becoming an entrepreneur. Emotional triggers are literally your secret weapon. If you use them correctly, that's the key word. If you use them too much, then people aren't going to trust you and they're going to feel like you're being like too pushy and too salesy, right? But this is an exercise that I've been talking about for years, since 2022 at least. You're going to write down the 3 emotions your audience experiences before working with you. The only way to know that is to look at your sales data, okay? So speak to your sales team, or if you're the main sales team, distill all of that information from your Zoom notes and think about and find out what emotions they are experiencing. Not just what you've put in your head, not what ChatGPT is telling you, but we need this from the primary source, which should be your audience before they work with you. What are they going through? Name those 3 emotions. After that, we want to touch on the 3 emotions they experience after working with you. Again, this comes from testimonials. This is most easily found through testimonials or in your client conversations. When you guys are talking, they're just going to tell you how they feel, how much you help them. But for my clients, it's typically found through their reviews. A lot of my clients, they will be like the top 1% in their industry. And so their reviews are just all over the place. And I can see what emotions, what language people are using to articulate the value that they brought in. We can articulate that value and use that in copy, because then we're not only approaching this from a logical standpoint on the left side of the brain. Now we're also activating the right side, where we're talking about emotions. We're talking about their hopes, their fears, their dreams. We're making them feel secure and safe. The warning here, and this is why I love being selective with who I work with. The warning is that you need to be excellent at what you do. You need to make sure you can deliver on your promise when you use such strong emotional triggers like that, okay? Lastly, let's talk about the asset bank, okay? The asset bank is filled with subject lines, preview lines, body copy formulas, and calls to action with swipeable intros. Every client that I work with inside of magnetic emails, and even before I did magnetic emails, even if it was like I'm doing a copywriting project for a sales page or website copy, this is what the 20 question framework is for. I need to make a bank of all of their language assets, so to speak. So before we ever deploy campaigns, this is where strategy and being patient comes into play, and really planning out your content and copy, planning out the strategy. So you're not just sending stuff out at a whim and then hoping that it gets like the results that you want to get. You want to have this asset bank with 10 different subject lines according to specific topics that you're talking about. So back to the value first. Like if you know you're going to do some value first copywriting in the next week, then use subject lines like 5 tips that you didn't know about XYZ, 5 secret topics on this topic that you need to know about. Those are all value first, education first, and you're going to test those subject lines. Now, if we were doing the more story-based approach, you can go through here and just think about 10 storylines. You could think about your childhood. You could think about college. You could think about the last 3 years in business. You could think about your first year in business. You could think about what's happening now in the business. There's so many storylines that you can tell, especially when you just do the work to brainstorm them yourself and use your own experience. Again, we are in the experience economy. One way for you to stand out ahead of everyone else in your industry is for you to just be willing to share your story. Your story can be your origin story, but I would urge you to go deeper and start talking about some of those nostalgia points so that people can relate to you, right? That's something that immediately changes your public perception in someone's mind, and they say, okay, at least I am interested in this person. At least I trust this person. Now I can look at their website, their sales page, and see what they're talking about and see if I want to work with them. But at least you got that relatability factor, okay? That's why storytelling is so critical. And then we have calls to action. Again, it's going to work the same way. Let's talk about offer first, creative briefing with the calls to action. You can have 10 different calls to actions that you use for your industry, that you send to your team, that your team can have all of these marketing assets and guidelines, because this is an asset bank for your business. This is your money-making asset bank, a standard operating procedure that can generate 7 figures over and over for your firm. But you have to write it down. You have to go through the strategy to actually have that information on hand. It can just be in a Google Drive. It can be a Notion. It can be in Asana. But you want to treat your marketing department, even if it's just you and someone else, or you and 3 people, or you and 4 people, even if it's just that small amount of people and it's not like an entire corporate boardroom meeting where you have 20 marketers, 5 that are in graphics, 5 that are writers, 5 that are strategists. If it's just you and a couple other people, it's okay. But you still want to treat it like an enterprise. You still want to treat your business like you have these marketing assets that matter, so that you have options to use these call to actions and these A/B tests. And if you don't know what an A/B test is, an A/B test is when I send out, let's say I'm sending out an email to my list. I'm actually going through and sending emails to my list about magnetic emails, the segmentation intensive that we have coming up. Now, if I want to see what gets the best conversions and boost my conversion rates, I'm going to use one call to action. Let's say one call to action says, learn more about magnetic segments. Y'all know I would never use that. That's too boring. But let's say the other one is unlock hidden revenue in your email marketing service provider or something like that. I can run an A/B test to send both of those emails to my audience at the same time, and whatever gets the most people is going to win. So the call to action that gets the most people to click is going to win, and that will be sent out to the rest of the list. That's what an A/B test is, okay? This is why it's important to have that asset bank and start to think about your business differently. Don't think about this like, oh, I'm a side hustler. You're not a side hustler. You are a CEO. Act like it. You need to invest heavily in your marketing. Your marketing and your sales are married. Your marketing and sales are like husband and wife. They need to make sense. You need to try to have that sales function already there in your marketing so that by the time somebody gets on a call with your sales team or with you or looking at your sales page, they're ready to make a buying decision beforehand. Marketing is what really takes care of that so that you don't have to sit on the call and, okay, I have to overcome this objection, and then I have to overcome this objection, and then I have to do this. That's not necessary when you allow sales to be infused in your marketing as well, okay? So I believe that is it for this video. Yeah, I think that's it. That is all. Now, thank you so much for tuning in. I implore you to go look at my profile at Tiffy G Writes. You want to look at my previous live videos. I think one is pinned to the top of my profile. Maybe I'll pin a few others if you guys want to see more of the case study, testimonial type live videos where I'm talking about client results. I'll pin more of those, but you want to go watch them. They're like 20 minutes. Watch until the end so that you can understand the process behind magnetic emails. And then also check the link in bio. Magnetic segments and magnetic VIP days are available at the link in bio. Check it out. See if it's right for you. And I cannot wait to speak to you next time. Talk soon.